Scott, this week we're over on Steam, early access. We're checking out The Last Plague Blight. This is a survival game, kind of top-down, isometric camera style, where we're kind of working our way through pretty much a bare-bones survival style game where we start with pretty much nothing in the middle of the woods, dropped on a map, and the whole idea here is to survive. And as we go through this game, again, it's in early access, we start to get kind of opened up to what the story of this game is. And without really giving too much away, the idea is there's this blight that is taking over the lands, and the idea is our character has been tasked now with basically eliminating all of it. How that's going to happen, we're not entirely sure, because this game is a lot more than just the story. There's a ton of mechanics here, Scott. Any survival game has these types of things. But before we get too deep into it, I'm going to give this one a recommend. I think fans of the genre are going to enjoy this one. I certainly was very engaged while playing this, but I think sometimes other fans may not be as interested, and I think that's maybe where we're swaying on your side. What do you think of this one, Scott?
Yes, although I agree with you, and I think this has a lot of things going for it in the vein of survival games, I have to unfortunately not recommend it in its current form. We do know there's a lot of updates coming to this game, and I think this game will be in a lot stronger of a position in about 4 months, half a year's time. But at currently, I look to this game and I feel like I've seen a few of these elements somewhere else, and I happen to enjoy them that time. So.
Yeah, this game is definitely not blazing any new trails in the genre. It is doing its own thing with the story and what we learn as we go through with that. But again, the basic mechanics of the game, as far as the survival game goes, we've seen this before. But I did enjoy it. Like, every time I sat down to play this game, Scott, I was in it for a couple hours at least, because a lot of times the tasks and things that you have to complete take time, and it's a very grindy style element to this game. And the pacing can be a little slow at times, especially in the early stages where you don't have much and you're trying to discover things, and you're going out and kind of doing expeditions, but then you have to avoid animals, coyotes, bears, hogs, things like that that are going to attack you. You may not be necessarily equipped with the right tools or weapons to defend yourself, so you have to be very pick and choose about what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how safely you can actually get it done. And that's what I really did enjoy, but the pacing is where I started to kind of lose it a little bit. It was just, after about a couple hours, I was like, you know what, I don't really want to go collect more clay or make mud bricks or do the things required. So that's usually when I started to check out. And for me, again, I was having fun, but it does get to a point where I feel like, you know what, I got to take a break here.
Yes, I agree with that. It is a bit of a pacing thing, and my genre is not usually survival games. It's not my favorite kind of thing. So although I agree with you again, it's long sessions of playing this game, I wasn't really feeling that as a negative. So I'm balancing a couple different opinions here. It's not my favorite kind of game, but at the same time I was having a great time. But when it comes to some of those risk versus reward things, what you mentioned, going on an expedition, and you have to be fully equipped with that, especially when coyotes find you about 30 seconds into that journey. But I found that I was able to kind of take a breath, leave all that behind, and kind of just focus on building my own homestead. And that's where I had a lot of the satisfaction that these games really can give you. When it comes to constructing some of these maybe elaborate buildings, in my case it was not, but just the idea of farming or cultivating an entire logging industry that I've sprung up near me. But it was a lot of fun in that regard, and there were some things that I thought were really impressive, and that being the amount of things on screen at once. It's both a blessing and a curse, because the curse side of it is the UI is just so cluttered and so busy, and as soon as you hit the left alt button on the keyboard, it shows the names of everything. It kind of highlights the items around you. It's incredibly dizzying, but at the same time, it's impressive because it's handling so many different items, so many different objects. I've seen other games just completely fail under that stress, and this actually holds up pretty well. So it was interesting for me to kind of fall back on that kind of creating a home loop that I think is going to grab a lot of gamers and really pull in those people that do appreciate the survival game genre a lot more than myself. But when I kind of get a little bit bored of that again, I'm looking forward to the new updates that'll bring in the story and some NPCs. Fishing will be there. There's a whole lot more options coming to this game as time goes on, and I think that's really where I would feel more comfortable recommending.
Yeah, I think you and I are split on this, and I think as this game comes out in full early release, I guess, I think the fan base will also be split to a degree. The genre fans are gonna maybe really enjoy this game or get into it, where casual players like you and I may tend to lean away from this one.